for sure, but he gets into this position and dashes the guy.
Oh yeah.
So it's kind of like a guard, I guess.
Yeah, but that's not a move. Really.
Yeah, it's not
Like
a
jiu-jitsu
no.
people would not
No,
jump
especially
on
if
the
you're
neck
gonna
and-
fight another 99 guys that are standing around.
And there's a guy behind you with a sword.
I probably wouldn't run towards him. I'd probably be running the other way.
This is the intro.
Thumb
Doing
push-ups.
thumb push-ups doesn't really have a purpose for.
I don't think so, because I don't think you do a push-up to strengthen your knuckles and your fingers.
It doesn't really have like a functional purpose.
No, it just
so
looks
that's what
cool.
I thought too. Okay.
One arm
One-arm
pull-ups.
pull-ups. They're doable.
Yeah, they're doable for sure. They're tough.
But again, it's like doesn't really serve like a great purpose, I imagine.
I'm not going to say anything because I don't want anybody to say anything bad about it.
People do them. I wouldn't say they're wrong.
Okay. It's
People do them, and it's doable. Absolutely.
Okay. Now look at this combo. Like just like it's a short bit, but did that look realistic to you?
Some people fight. Like I remember one time watching Nate Marquardt finish a fighter, but it was the most fantastic finish. It was just like bam, bam, spinning back fist, and as he came around, he was like roundhouse, switch kick, and it was like it looked like that. So I'm not gonna say that it doesn't exist. Lyoto Machida,
Yeah.
Kung Lee.
Stephen Thompson.
That's not like completely like unrealistic.
No.
So now we're coming to the first scene of the first episode. He comes to fight 100 guys. So that's like
Totally realistic.
totally realistic.
Complete. I did that yesterday.
Oh yeah.
You know, you were wondering why I was late.
Right.
Just-
So this is gonna be weird, but so he jumps up for sure, but he gets into this position and dashes the guy.
Oh yeah.
So it's kind of like a guard, I guess.
Yeah, but that's not a move. Really.
Yeah, it's not
Like
a
jiu-jitsu
no.
people would not
No,
jump on
especially
the
if you're
neck
gonna
and-
fight another 99 guys that are standing around.
And there's a guy behind you with a sword.
I probably wouldn't run towards him. I'd probably be running the other way.
Well, the guy
just like-
that he's
just like-
on top of is pretty big, so he's got a decent amount of surface to be sitting there. And could that guy hold him up like that? Absolutely.
I think you have to put it into context to where, is this in the street? Because it looks like it's in the street. The last thing you want to do in the street is be off the ground. Or if we're talking about MMA and not jiu-jitsu, then I shouldn't say you don't, but most likely you would not go out and throw a flying triangle. You might have, we've seen it before a couple times, but it shouldn't be your go-to move.
punching a guy in the head, bare knuckles.
Ask my brother. He's got a titanium plate in his hand because he punched the guy in the head. Yeah. So yeah, you're right. It's not a good idea, especially in a street fight.
And there's a...
Headbutt. Yeah.
That's the thing.
Headbutt's legit as long as you get him, as long as you're not headbutting head to head.
Headbutt. It's
above
a
here. The
headbutts to the nose.
Right here.
Yeah.
So here with
Yeah.
here
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
But like, he's just like jumping into the middle of them, fighting his way out of it. That's like not what we do.
No.
What would you do?
Run
It's like,
away.
Like, I'm gonna run away.
Run
sure.
away.
Run away.
I'm not gonna go.
I wouldn't have.
I'm not going
jumped
towards
over.
100.
If there's 100 guys who want to fight me and there's a chain link fence separating us, then I'm gonna not climb over that fence for sure. I'm gonna run the other way.
I'd say if you guys can make it over
three
this
people
fence
that
and
wanna
catch
fight
me,
me.
we'll fight.
Right.
If there's 3 people that want to fight, 2 people that want to fight me, I'm gonna run away.
But let's say you're forced, right?
I would have grabbed the dude's sword that I
Try
totally
to
just
stand your
knocked
feet
down,
and
and I would be doing
try not to let
this.
anybody get behind you, but that's gonna be hard with 100 people. If it's like 2 people or 3 people, try to keep them in front of you, right?
Oh shoot.
So I was looking at this and I was thinking he would probably be dead by now. Yeah.
Well,
they're
I wouldn't
stomping
say
on you.
dead. I would say he did the right thing though. If it's 3 guys and you're on the ground, then cover up and do what he did, because once you take your hands away from your head, you're done.
Finally starts to use his surrounding. He goes to the fence. So that's smart, right?
Why didn't he climb over it?
He's testing himself.
Okay.
So I think that's kind of smart to use the fence.
Yeah. Get your back up against the fence. Only because there's so many.
Right. The next scene is he comes to this gym where there's a boxing champion
Kickboxing.
versus I think Muay Thai.
So all his kicks are missing?
He's slipping them, I guess. Boxer versus Muay Thai. Probably it's like not gonna be so good for the boxer, huh?
I agree. Why is the boxer winning here unless the Muay Thai guy just sucks?
Yeah, if it's a Muay Thai champion against the boxer, I would think that the Muay Thai guy would win. Just
You've
because
got
he has
more
more
weapons.
weapons. Elbows,
Yeah.
Kicks, he can keep them away.
I mean, the minute you get in with so the boxer's going to want to get in close and use, his hooks but the minute he gets hit with an elbow,
Or a kick.
dude, he's never felt that before. The minute he gets head kicked.
So the Muay Thai guy goes for the clinch.
Ooh. Ooh. Yep, there you go.
That's probably enough right there.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, but apparently
Uppercuts.
not. Okay.
Clinch? No way.
No, I'm not saying no way. I'm saying after taking, but this is anime, so I know it's a little fantasy, but those knees there was like 8 good solid knees in a row. That would probably.
And even getting to their chin because they're pulling you. I mean, you gotta.
It could be done, but you would have to
done,
walk.
but he'd be.
It's not like a high percentage.
It's pretty
It's like a Hail Mary.
Unlikely if that's a really good Muay Thai guy against a boxer. That would be unlikely.
No, he's working on the back to impress the guy, so he would spar. Curious bag work. The way it's animated.
Yeah,
I think so. I think it's great because the way it's swinging and he's catching the kick on the swing. Only George Foreman can hit the heavy bag and make it move like that. Come on, let's get realistic.
So he convinces the guy to spar with him, and he does the same technique, quote unquote.
Oh yeah.
Oh, here we go.
Like, no.
Oh.
Bounces him off the canvas.
Good. So he gets upset that he lost. He goes to the mountains to train. I think that's a very Japanese concept.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, even back in the early UFC days, like the guys would go to the mountains to train.
Really?
So it started to become, Tito Ortiz used to do that. And do you remember? They used to
Big Bear.
They'd go to Big Bear. They'd go to the higher elevations to train.
Okay.
I think too the solitary. Oh yeah, let me go somewhere where it's quiet. Let me go somewhere where I'm in the nature.
Yeah, if you've had a hard time getting away from outside distractions,
Yeah, I think
it
it's
might
really
not
good.
be even a spiritual thing or whatever.
Yeah, you're just getting away from your everyday life.
Yeah.
So you're only focused on the fighting, for sure.
So when I was growing up, I watched a bunch of anime, and Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
So, for example, they would put on extra weights, like hundreds of kilos, and then I would be stupid enough to think, oh, that's what I do. And I messed up my knees that way, I messed up my back.
Oh my god.
Yeah, because when I was like, oh, they do it, I have to do it too. So watching this, I'm like, I wonder how many guys are looking and they're like, oh, I'm going to do exactly the same thing. So this is where I want to put some comments on as well. Like, get inspired, don't get inspired.
Right.
So he's eating a lot to gain weight, I think. I don't know what he's eating though.
Yeah, I don't know either.
So eating, probably shouldn't just eat like crazy or anything.
Some people do to get bulk. They just call it bulking up. Like,
Well, you
some
can bulk
people-
up, but I think too it depends on what you're doing, like what you're taking, or how you normally eat.
but there's a thing called it's called dirty bulking.
The only
So
other
it's
time
okay.
you can do that dirty bulking and eat that many calories, even if you're working out that much, is if you're taking something. If you're taking steroids or what depends on what type you're taking, then yeah, you can eat
whatever.
5,000 calories a day or eat.
Well, some
5
people do it
cheeseburgers.
just they think it's going to get them bigger,
But I don't think that's
does, but You
good.
still carry
I
a
think it's
decent amount of
necessary.
body fat. It's not good for you. Like scientifically, only really gain 6 pounds of muscle mass in like a year. It's something very small. A lot of guys will get bigger, but yet that muscle mass is on top of the bloat. So they seem like they're getting bigger, but they're not really.
He's chopping logs. I guess that's how we do the hammer.
Yeah,
Yeah, if you're doing a special.
absolutely.
Running with weights on.
It depends on how much weight. So running with the 20-pound weight vest, fine. But running with like anything in excess, if you want to run with weight on your back, don't start with 20 pounds.
Right.
So first, how comfortable do I feel running with my natural body weight? Do I have any joint pain? Does anything hurt? Okay, now let me add 5 pounds. How do I feel? Okay, 10 pounds. You have to build up to it, just like squatting and bench pressing. And you gotta let your joints and ligaments get used to it.
The other thing is like those elevation masks or whatever, they're just stupid. Unless you can go and sprint for like 10 minutes straight, full on as hard as you can, then why would you put an elevation
Exactly,
mask?
you're gonna burn yourself out anyway.
It's ridiculous. If your cardio's that good,
It's a trend.
then you're gonna smoke everyone anyway. Like what are you training for at that point? Like,
So that's I think his mother, and she's explaining to someone what he's aiming to do. When human's brain keeps running, then there's a danger signal. The signal will come in a suffering way. Normal people will take rest at that time. If they ignore that signal and keep working, the brain will get rid of that pain signal to release a good feeling about the body. It's translated brain copy. She even says endorphins. Endorphins, sorry. That will lead people to exercise to death. He wants to activate that substance.
I've seen people overtrain and then
But
they get hurt and they don't realize it, but they still keep training
Or
because
they're just drained all the time.
They like that endorphin rush.
So it happens. Like, that's kind of
Absolutely,
scientific.
absolutely.
Well, then you can't give your 100% the next training session.
A lot of runners do that.
Right.
They're constantly injured and things always hurt, but they still run and they'll do marathon after marathon after marathon. They love that rush.
That's why most of those top athletes, some of them are good at noticing that, their limits. Some people are. But that's why most of those top athletes have a personal trainer. Because they don't know when to stop. And they need somebody to tell them, stop.
Yes.
Or go for 20 seconds hard. Now stop and wait.
That's kind of realistic, the science behind it, but it doesn't really make sense to do that. Like,
I mean, if you want longevity in your career or longevity in your health
right,
or your body to work when you're past your prime,
right. So there's the
endorphin.
The endorphins kick in.
Oh, yeah.
He's kicking trees and punching trees. I used to do that. That's why I have these huge ass knuckles.
well, Tony Ferguson kicks the crap out of his wooden dummy, whatever those things are called. And there's a kickboxing girl, Tiffany Van Soest,
Right.
and she's a champion. And she's got this video, it went viral, of her in Thailand, and she's kicking this palm tree like.
I think once again, that's just like I don't think that's for everyone.
It's not for everybody.
Okay.
Can it strengthen and create scar tissue?
Right.
Yes, because they used to have that rub that Thai fighters would rub on their shins. It was supposed to make, and then people used to just hit their shins with. Do I recommend it? No. Do people do it? Yes.
Scar tissue is one thing, but bones, when they break, they're not the same. Like if you break your knuckles or get a fracture or something, it's
It's never the same.
It's not like you're toughening it up, you're making them weaker.
Climbing rope. Legit?
I've seen people climb rope with their legs like that. Absolutely. So now he's on his knuckles, better than his thumbs.
Right.
A lot of people overexercise because of that endorphin rush. They love it.
But that's probably not the most efficient way to train.
No, absolutely not.
Well, for this particular sport, maybe for a marathon, maybe if you're a marathon runner, you run 26 miles in a row, then yeah, you need that somewhat steady, then you need sprint. Then you need a little steady, then you need sprint. Then you sprint, right?
And also, this is going to be an interesting moment. You can't cross that line for the rest of your life. You will never be able to become a true grappler.
So they must mean fighter when they're saying
it's just
grappler.
like
They must mean
grappler
grappler
doesn't
because they're not grappling at all. They're just
exactly.
fighting.
That's what I thought
Okay.
too. Sometimes Japanese mess up the words.
Don't get in more trouble. The Japanese don't
I can
mess up
find
the
out.
words. It's
I know
just the
a couple of-
translation doesn't.
I know a couple
Doesn't
of Japanese.
translate.
I know a couple of Japanese people I'll ask, and then I also know a couple American people that speak Japanese that train in Japan that may know why
Sure,
they
that'd
call
be
it
interesting,
grappler.
for sure.
Yeah, I'd be interested to find out.
Alrighty then. Leaps off.
I wouldn't recommend that.
I think he goes into what's called a flow state. Because I just read a book about that.
Here's the thing: is that a lot of this, because it is anime and it's fantasy. A lot of this is fantasy.
Right.
I would say that this is would be the same as he's meditating or doing some kind of mental training, because that's real. Like having a fight psychology, somebody who's getting you in that mental state. So you
Sports
meditate
psychology
a little
works
bit.
really
Yeah,
well.
it's doing sports psychology.